I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise to me that reading is one of the most important use cases for e-ink from you guys in the audience. So let's look at the 3 devices you should be making the choice between right now, which is Onyx Boox, Supernote, and of course, the reMarkable. Let's look at that use case of reading in depth. Let's fire on with reading and kind of really more like a reference really. This is not going to become your bedtime reader, is it? This is the document that I teach off most of the time for my physics. This is where all my different activities come from. Tomorrow, if you're watching my class, then well, with just this activity, they are actually feeding back on this, and then we're going to do this activity 27, the universal speed limit. So on here, I could highlight if I wanted to, and I could add annotations that will go into a separate document. I could also, and you can see the size that I've got it here. I can scribble my scribbles directly on here, and I can export just my scribble pages if I like. I can also go into split view. I can do that in one of 2 ways. I can come in here and I can go into these extensive tools in the reader here. I can get a split view with handwritten notes next to it or text notes next to it. And I love this handwritten notes function because it makes a separate notepad. Like let's say what I wanted to do was I wanted to have a notepad here where I had all my working out and I had a student book here or something like that. I could do the questions right here next to a still quite large enough to read comfortably. And if I wasn't happy with reading it like this, then I could always zoom in a bit and I could crop in. I've got all my different navigation views down here. I'm going quite quick because there's just so much to cover that it's a bit unbelievable. Yes, it's a lot to get your head around at first. When I'm done, I can just slide across there and I'm back to my reading here. I mean, it is just such a fully featured thing. It's a lot to manage at first, but you know, it's just the best reading app there is. For your basic PDFs and EPUBs and stuff like that, that's the thing to have. I can't obviously use colors to do my highlights in here. I can color code them, as in I can group them, and that's perfectly fine. Now, actually, I haven't even downloaded it yet, but of course, on Boox in general, you can download Kindle or any reading app you choose as well. So I just think for reading is a really, really excellent place for reading here. And there are options in Boox for color if you need color. However, if you really want the best color that you can get, and you're happy with the slow refresh of the gallery free, then of course the reMarkable is a great place to go to. And it is almost the same size, it's 11.8. You can see that doesn't make in real world all that much difference. It is a really comfortable place for reading your reference PDFs still. Here's an example of a reference PDF. You can see I've got the colors brought through from that PDF. I can highlight in colors if I like. I can't do anything with the hyperlinks though to go to. Well, it goes to a different page, my apologies. But of course, if it was hyperlinked to a web page, I was expecting that to go to a web page, but it didn't. But of course, you've got color images looking really good, color figures, so you can color code different types of decay, for instance, here. That is clearly a strength of the reMarkable. If you need color documents and turning that page, it's not too slow, is it? It's just fine. So for reading, yeah, it's a nice place to read, but you just don't have the options when it comes to different formats. PDF or EPUB is your options there. There's some flaws. One thing I do like about it is that you get the same writing tools as you do in the rest of the device. So you really get used to using these tools. Still gets me every time that does. So there's a nice flow to that, there really is. And of course, if you want to read comics at full size, providing you can find the right comics as PDFs or graphic novels or anything like that, then it can look really, really quite good on here. Well, I think I've done this comparison to death on my channel, so I'll leave that there. This is the closest to actually printed ink on paper in terms of reading, so that's good. The Supernote. Lastly, I've got the same documents, I believe, on here, my teaching documents as well. See my A-level physics there, look, perfect. Yep, this is the same teacher pack here. And again, look, you can see I was only a couple of weeks before, as you would expect. I like the 2-finger page swipe. It's optional. This means that you don't get accidental page presses. If you, by the way, if you found you get an accidental page turns on the Boox device, then just remember to set where the page turn area is. So in your menu, you go more, and then you get settings, and then you get touch settings, and you want to choose mode 6 essentially. Something that I think a lot of people think, oh no, I get this, and then I'm getting all these accidental hand presses when I am annotating, and it's because by default it's on mode 1. You can see if you just touch anywhere on this side of the page on mode 1, then it turns the page, and that's really annoying. So I found that annoying at first until I discovered this setting, and you put it on mode 6 and then it never bothers you again. So that's one thing with Boox to remember, is that like there's so many settings that are kind of like wrong by default for some reason, and I do wish they would change them by default, but once you've figured them out, it's absolutely fine. One of the biggest strengths now for the Supernote is the digests. So something that you like the sound of, something that you need to know, you can put your 2 square brackets around. I'll zoom in and do another one. And that is taken out of the PDF and put into your digest here. And that's global across the whole thing. So you can see I've got 2 notes from this one here. And then I can open that and I can annotate here and keep that in my digest. And once I have digested it, I can bin that piece of work. So that's a really nice thing, I think, about how to use PDFs. And there's loads of strong ways you can use PDFs here on the Supernote. So let's sum this up then. Who's going to win in the reading category? Well, I think that the best here is going to be the Boox. I think you probably got that from my work there so far, my discussion there. And I do think that you have to give reMarkable the benefit, because for many of you, if you need large color documents for reading, I think that is a good strength there. And so the Supernote, I'm just going to give 1 for the reading category. Dia says liking the digest feature. Yeah, absolutely good. And that's what I mean. If you buy a Supernote, then expect to just like use it as your one device, know your way around it, feel really comfortable on it, you'll love it. I honestly don't think that I got in deep enough as to why Boox is simply the better choice for reading on e-ink. There are excellent color options from Boox. There's all different size options from Boox as well. And of course, you can access all the sources, all the different libraries, and you've got all the customization. It's also really the only one with any kind of meaningful e-ink modes. So yeah, if you are a reader primarily on e-ink, then there is definitely a Boox out there to suit you with all of the choice for all of their range. My personal favorite is still the Tab Ultra C Pro, even though it should have been superseded by the Note Max, which is an incredible e-ink tablet as well, especially if it's full-size PDFs or side-by-side for reference that you need. Like the simplified PDF viewer of reMarkable over Boox? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, unified notes UI, yeah, absolutely. Max looks incredible, currently more ghosting than Casper, yeah, yep. We talked about that, haven't we? Yeah, a huge developer community on the reMarkable Paper Pro. Lots of things can be modified, yeah. They've always left it quite open. Absolutely, yeah, because it's a Linux, you can basically put a full-fledged desktop OS interface. That's really cool. Whether that's going to work well on Gallery Free is another question entirely, but yeah, split screener for studying, yeah, e-ink Unplugged. Also some great content coming on e-ink Unplugged, so go and check the gentleman out. Can you export just the highlights? Yeah, absolutely you can. I think you can do that on any of them actually, incidentally, probably apart from reMarkable. If somebody correct me if I'm wrong there, I don't think reMarkable has a just export your highlights mode. The bigger screen is really nice. You're absolutely right. For all of these uses, to be honest. And Drew's been loving his Nomad. Lovely to read that. I think they'll do a reMarkable 3 in autumn. And I hope it will just be like a upgrade from the reMarkable Pro, that kind of size, black and white, Wacom Myanmar, that'd be great. Which is the smoothest when scrolling, that would be the Boox. Yep, for all of them. The Boox have got managing an e-ink screen down. They really have, really done very well with that. Non-productive, I wish there was a way to move to a note between devices. I own a Nomad and a reMarkable 2. Would love to move notes from Nomad to my reMarkable 2 and vice versa, yeah. The best way to do it is to sort of bake it into a PDF and manage it that way, but no, there's not. The one that you can do that with, because Boox is an Android tablet, you can actually have an Android app on the tablet. Now, I suppose what you could do on your Nomad is you could sideload the reMarkable app. I've never tried that, but you could do that. And then at least you could have in that direction, you could have the Nomad having your reMarkable notes on. So that's one thing you can do.